Hey guys, welcome back. So today our topic will be about American imperialism. But what we're really going to be focusing on is the topic of the Platt Amendment and what it actually really is. So the Platt Amendment is an amendment that is about the ending of U.S. occupation in Cuba because Cuba wanted to separate and gain their own independence. But before Cuba can become independent, there were 8 conditions to which the Cuban government had to agree before the U.S. could withdraw our military forces. So, one of the conditions that the Cuban government had to agree with before the U.S. can withdraw our forces is that they are not allowed to sign treaties with foreign countries. So there's the U.S. blocking it. Another condition that the Cuban government had to allow was that foreign countries are not allowed to occupy Cuba for military purposes at all. So the U.S. also reserved the right to interfere with any type of Cuba's business if it was jeopardizing Cuba's independence in any way. In a way, the U.S. was like a parent to Cuba. They demanded that Cuba would have to improve their sanitation conditions on their island. So it's like telling your child to clean up their room. They also demanded that Cuba would return the claims of the Isle of Pines. Another condition that the Cuban government had to agree to is that they had to agree to sell or lease territory for coaling/naval nations to the U.S. The U.S. also put a lot of pressure onto Cuba to incorporate the terms into Cuba's constitution. So they had to include the conditions of the Platt Amendment inside Cuba's constitution. Do it. Okay, then. So, on the other hand, in the 1900s, during the Cuban Constitutional Convention, General Leonard Wood, as seen there with that general looking hat and those medals, presented the terms of the Platt Amendment to the Cuban delegates. Please excuse my head while I'm drawing these men in suits that are supposed to be the Cuban delegates. They look so cute in their suits. Okay, well, these are the Cuban delegates, and they actually realize that the amendment limits their Cuban sovereignty. So, this little guy from the USA, as you can tell with the American flag, promised a trade treaty guaranteeing Cuba a sugar port that they can have access in. After a while of trying to modify or reject the Platt Amendment, it was finally ratified. The Platt Amendment was ratified on June 12, 1901 and remained in force till 1934. Towards the end of the treaty, both sides agreed to cancel it. The treaty has been ended. And that's all that you need to know of the Platt Amendment. The end. Bye.